Good morning, guys. It is an absolute gorgeous morning in Michigan. No humidity, blue skies. Oh, I love it. Now, what if I told you that my mother missed out on thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in opportunity costs, except for one thing, education. Let's get into it. Now, I grew up with two parents who were blue-collar parents for about a third of my life, okay? It started out where they didn't make very much money at all, and they were both blue-collar. Until, I think around I was 13 years old, my mom decided to invest her money and go back to school. She went back and got her associate's degree in dental hygienistry, okay? She wanted to go and clean teeth every day and make more money. And she felt very comfortable about that because she knew that if she worked hard enough with that money for her education, she would get a degree at the end of the day. So it was comforting to know that with that degree, she would generate more income. It was almost a guaranteed investment in a sense, okay? There wasn't a lot to be scared about, okay? But many people out there, they are afraid of money. They're scared of it. And you know why? They're scared of losing money, okay? They think of money as this thing that helps you buy stuff, okay? Or helps you pay the rent, which is true. You know, it helps you buy stuff and it does help you pay the rent or pay for a car loan. Okay, those are the three kind of things that money can do for you. However, the way you need to think about money is completely different, to be honest. You need to think of money as a tool or as a soldier, okay? And you can't be scared to go and send that soldier out to battle or that platoon out to battle. Okay, sometimes that platoon that you send out is going to get ambushed and maybe you might lose some money, okay? But the other platoons you send out, they're going to take over the cities and the villages and the towns and they're going to win, all right? They're going to win town after town after town. That's how you need to think of money at the end of the day. It is a tool to generate more income and win at the end of the day. So you cannot be scared of it. And my mother, unfortunately, her entire life, she was scared of money. She never invested her money whatsoever. Okay, it's always been in savings accounts year over year, decade over decade. Okay, it's been in 0.01% APR savings accounts until just recently. Okay, now I want to go back to the education point that I made where I believe that yes, that was a great investment by my mother, including the fact that she paid for my brother and I's college as well. That was a great investment, great return on her investment, both for her and for her children. However, today, that may not be the case with how expensive education is. You know, not every degree is going to have the same return that my mother's did or mine did or my brother's did. We all went into degrees that pretty much guaranteed a good job coming out of college. I had a CS degree, my brother had a computer science degree, and my mother got this hygiene degree, okay? Those are kind of like more practical kind of jobs. So, you know, if my mother went into something different, it may be a completely different story. You may not get as much ROI out of your investment and you might lose money these days when it comes to college loans. So, you know, I don't know what my mom would have felt these days with where the tuition rates are. Would she have still gone into hygiene? I think so, because hygiene, you can still make good money coming out of that. But any other degrees, you know, like political science and these other things, I don't think she would have invested in that. I think she would have been hesitant. Even with that piece of paper that you get at the end of the day, I think she would have been a little more scared to lose money and not get a return. Okay, there's no guarantees when it comes to investing, but I'm telling you, after she got her hygiene degree, my mother and father, it's a long story, but they did get divorced when I was like 13. That's kind of one of the reasons why she was getting her degree. But they ended up getting back together after they got divorced. And then they started making two incomes. And that's how they paid for my brothers and I's education. And ever since then, my mom is like the GOAT of saving money. Let me tell you, okay? She saves every single penny, and my parents don't spend money on jack, to be honest. Now, they've had new cars, surprisingly, but man, they still have been able to save money. They rarely go out to eat, and they don't do like a whole lot. It's not like they go out and wine and dine and do any hoity-toity type of things. When they go on vacation, they kind of stay at, the Motel 6 kind of places, and they joke about it too. They laugh about it. They don't mind, which is cool, which is great. But my mom, man, she has been able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys. And I just wonder, though, if over the last 20 years, 20, 25, maybe 30 years since they've had the two incomes, I wonder how much they could have had if they would have invested that money just in the S&P 500 alone. If my mom would have just stuck all those dollars in the S&P 500 over the last 20 years, I think they'd be multi-millionaires today. They'd be worth probably $3 million, to be honest. And maybe if they stuck a few dollars in a few good, healthy stocks like Apple or whatever, they'd definitely be there today. But, they live so frugally that, to be honest, the money they have, I think, will get them the entire rest of their retirement, fortunately. I think they've got this discipline with them that, at this point, $3 million wouldn't have mattered. Would they have even spent through that $3 million that they would have had if they would have invested in the S&P? Probably not, to be honest. Now, would it have been more for me in inheritance and my brother? Maybe. It is what it is. But the point of this video is really to convey not to be scared about your money. You got to think of your money as a tool or a bunch of soldiers. Okay, you do an investment. It could be in education. There is still ROI in education. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying even today it might be a little more difficult to get that ROI depending on the degree you get. But investing in a business, people invest in businesses all the time, and some people make it out to the promised land and make tons of money, but some people do lose money. That squadron you sent out got ambushed and you lost money. It's happened to me. I've lost money in the stock market here and there, but I've made 20x more on other positions. That's the thing. You got to be tactical with your soldiers, with your platoons, how you're going to ship them out. You don't want to ship out all your platoons into one ambush and then they all get, destroyed. You want to spread your platoons out and diversify here and there. Maybe it's starting a business or starting a YouTube channel. You invest in a camera. It's a small little platoon that you want to go out there. I may make no money with YouTube at the end of the day, but I've got a little squadron out there. It's working for me. I'm not spending a ton of money on YouTube. A little bit of bandwidth, a little bit of camera gear, microphones, but it's not a lot. I've put in way more money into the stock market with my soldiers, and it's panned out left and right. And I wish my mom would have done that. Now, what's cool is she's finally getting a taste of how the soldiers work. Okay, her entire life almost, it's been at 0.01% APR in these savings accounts. But now that the Federal Reserve has raised rates to 5% and she's got like a couple $100K, now she's like, oh, I get it now, Dan. I understand now how these soldiers work, because now I'm making, $12, $15, $20,000 on my money. She still got her money in like a high yield savings and a couple of CDs and annuities, and they're making pretty decent money on their money finally. It only took them 35, 40 years to get there, but it is what it is. Now they see what I've done over the last 25 years of my life, and they realize, like, man, we could have stuck our money here and there and even been conservative about it. You don't have to invest in individual stocks to make great money. all you got to do is do a bunch of index investing and pile in. That's the key, guys, is pile in your money at the end of the day when it comes to investing in index funds. That's all you got to do. You'll be a millionaire. If you know how to limit your expenses, live below your means, like my parents did for 45 years. I watched them do it, and I do the same thing. Now, I probably spend a little bit more than my parents. You know, I'm living it up a little bit, but I still have those roots, okay, to where I don't go out to eat a bunch. I don't go to the gas station. I fired Convenience Street as much as I can. I don't go to that place, Convenience Street. If you guys haven't heard, it's a street that's on every major American city that has all those stores and the 5 lanes of traffic and all the gas stations. Avoid that street at all costs, okay? My parents never go there. They never do. And they don't go on Amazon either very much as well. They honestly don't. They don't spend a lot of money. That's how they've been able to save all the money. They didn't make a lot of money, guys. They only made, you know, I think at the peak, my parents probably peaked at maybe $125,000, you know, from a revenue perspective. I think now they're, you know, under that. I think they're under 6 figures as well, because my mom retired. She's 65. I think she's still working 1 day a week. Then my dad's working 5 days a week still. I hope he retires pretty soon, because I think he's kind of getting sick of it. And they deserve it. You know, they've saved their money, and I think they've got the discipline to continue saving their money. And now, finally, with the Federal Reserve making money, okay? And I hope, to be honest, you know, for my parents' sake, I hope they kind of keep the Federal Reserve up to 4.5%, 5%. You know, I mean, if it goes down, it's good for me because I got stocks and all that, but I want my parents to be able to, like, survive the economy, and I think that the high rates are helping them tremendously. So they're finally getting their soldiers to work. You know, they're doing it safely, you know, because they're scared of money. It's more so my mom. My dad has a little tiny 401k, but he's a little more risky. He's kind of like me. He likes to take risks. He's like into snowboarding like I am. We like to do little risky sports and all that. And, you know, it's fun. We like to talk about it. You know, my dad and I are more similar. My mom is more conservative. She's kind of the anchor to that family, you know, my mom and dad. So she keeps it real tight, you know, that kind of thing. But she's always been scared of money, guys. And that's the difference between getting wealthy and not becoming wealthy, is being scared for most people. Now, you can be like my mom and be real frugal with your money and still be wealthy, you know, that you can do that, but it's much harder these days because of inflation and because of high interest rates and et cetera, et cetera. So it's harder to save more money. So you gotta be not as scared about those dollars and put them to work, guys. They gotta go out and work for you. I mean, if you didn't see my video on my dividends, on my side hustle, all this money I've been putting in the markets, I'm making $15,000 a year doing nothing, absolutely nothing. I just let the account sit. I let those soldiers go to work, and they're just working every year, compounding. That is the other thing, like, I don't think my parents really understood, was the power of compounding, okay? They were scared because you might lose short-term money if you do sell out when you're investing in some position. But over the years and years and years, the more you compound, the less you feel volatility in the markets, okay? When somebody's up 20x or 40x, or dare I say 100x on some positions, like let's say you've been in Apple for 40 years, you don't even notice this volatility going up and down because it's such a minute amount compared to the compounding gains that you've made over 20, 30, 40 years, guys. That's why people don't care about volatility. The wealthy do not care about it. Now, well, you know, sometimes when you have a major crash, yes, they're going to feel it, and but they'll just hold. The wealthy people just hold. They don't sell. The stupid people sell. That's how it rolls, guys. So don't be scared. Have faith in the United States companies, guys. They are the best of the best of the breed. And, you know, the government allows it. You know, they're going to keep printing money till the sun comes up. And all of these companies, they suck all the money into their coffers. That's how the world works. And if you're not invested, if you're scared of, like, you know, AMD or NVIDIA going bankrupt, you're crazy. It's not going to happen, okay? So that's my story about how I I paid attention to my mother's behavior and learned from it. I learned not to be scared of money, because that's how you become wealthy, and be frugal, okay? Live within your means. You guys will get there, honestly. It's a great thing. I'm trying to teach you guys these things. And, you know, it's funny. Today I just released this gas station video talking about how men go into gas stations blowing their money. And today I go into another gas station because the pump was messed up. I had to get gas. And I go in there and there's a dude getting a Monster drink and 2 Gatorades. Couldn't believe it. You know, it's like every day if I go in, I'll see the same damn thing. So maybe that guy will see my video and start to live frugally, you know, and not be scared of money. That's what it is, guys. So anyways, I digress. I'm just kind of ranting here, rambling here a little bit. It's a beautiful morning. Like recording in these type of conditions, and it's great. So anyways, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about being scared of money. Should you be confident in money or scared? You know, let me know in the comments. Anyways, you guys, if you could, like and subscribe. Take a look at my previous video. I'd appreciate it. And everyone, have a beautiful day. Thanks. Bye.